This is my backyard from Indianapolis, but everybody wonders why you however ended up here or got here, came in the back door, but I guess, I always got to think back when my dad was so interested in golf, and he built a little 9-hole golf course in my hometown of Urbana, Ohio in 1923. And my youngest son built the second 18 holes in 1993, 70 years later. So Urbana is a very conservative town. But as a kid, I worked on the golf course, and somebody asked me last night, when did you start playing golf? Well, how do you remember when you're 2? But I must have started by then. And my dad loved golf, and a little 9-hole golf course is fine. And I ended up working on it from the day I could walk practically. And right before World War II, everybody left and had to go to the defense plants. And I was 16 or 17, so now I'm the superintendent of the Urbana Country Club. I've really gone up in this world. So I was putting a little sulfate of ammonia on the greens, and you put it in a big old drum. You don't have all these big equipment that Mr. Ferguson has out on his new golf courses out here. You just have a big old barrel, and you put a little sulfate ammonia, and my younger brother would stir it around, and I'd take a sprinkling can and put it on the greens like that, and it really did a good job. It greened it up fine, so I thought, hell of it, that little bit of greening it up that much, a little bit more would do the next greens. So I had it on there, and I kind of watched them. They turned from green to dark green, and they turned blue, and then they turned black, and then they turned to straw. And my father came as close to killing me as anybody ever in life right there and then. But I ended up kind of in the parachute infantry towards the end of the war. And Mr. Truman dropped that little present, and I brought back to Fort Bragg, and I had 6 months to go before we could be discharged, and they quit jumping us out of airplanes, so they made me the greenskeeper at the Fort Bragg golf course. Well, I did a hell of a better job there because it was sand greens. You didn't have to worry about burning them up or killing them. I had 200 Italians working on the fairway, so I didn't have much to do, and I played golf every day for that 6 months at Pinehurst No. 2, and I got to know Mr. Ross, and he would walk around the golf course and follow us, because the captain and the other fellow we were playing with were all the better golfers at that time at Pinehurst. And the other fellow, we knew him quite well. We didn't know Mr. Ross too well, but the other fellow was J.C. Penney. So we followed around the golf course at Mr. Ross, and I got to know all of his men that worked on the golf courses way back that time. But so I've really followed his golf courses as much as anybody. There's a lot of people go around restoring Donald Ross golf course, say they're an expert, but I knew Mr. Ross. And I've never changed any of his golf courses, but I wouldn't touch it. But they did a great job at the Donald Ross course that you played the other day. Lee Smith, a young fellow who used to work with me, came here, and they did a marvelous job over. They kept it the same, and I know that because my wife came down and played, and she told me. That's a fact. But when we started down here, I came down and talked to Mr. Ferguson, and it's the first job I begged to get. I really wanted to do this job, and I went up on the hill and looked at it, and then I was dumb enough to say, well, you can't build a golf course up here. And I almost proved it, too. It took 2.5 years, and I'm behind time and way over budget. But honestly, I don't think I've ever had a golf course that the ambience around it is as good as this golf course right here. And what I've done as far as tee to green and greens and bunkers, that's all in the eyes of the beholder. But the exterior, the ambience when you play this golf course, had lucky enough to build one on the ocean course at Kiowa, and looking at the Atlantic Ocean is not too bad. And Mr. Kohler up there gave me a little land on the Lake Michigan. That's part of the ambience. It's part of it. But what I say when you go up here today, I hope you get the same feeling, because You say you don't play much golf. You don't have to play golf up there. You really don't. You just ride around and take a look, because the scenery you have here, and from every hole and every tee in the fairway is I think it's so different, and it's also because of the change in the seasons, the spring, the summer, and fall. You get such a different look as from the whole thing before it's done. So it's been this job has been one of the highlights of my digging dirt here and there. I've been digging up a lot of other people's property, but this has been the most fun I've ever had. Thank you.